Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Scott, and today we're going to be painting the Household Knights from the 100 Kingdoms army in Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings. So let's go ahead and dive into how we've painted this model. To get this model started off, we've primed it using Rust-Oleum Charcoal Grey Primer. Now this is very similar to the grey of the plastic, but do note that I did prime it. The first thing we're going to do with this model is we're going to base all of the skin on the horse using Rhinox Hide. Now this is a little bit difficult to get on some of the under parts of the horse, but do the best you can. With that base color in place, we're going to shade all of the horse's skin using Agrax Earthshade. You can go as heavy as you'd like with this shade, it doesn't make too much of a difference at this step. While that shade is drying, we're going to take Mechanicus Standard Gray and we're going to paint this on the tail of the horse, as well as the leg wraps that are around the base of each of the legs of the horse. Now we're going to go back to the skin, and we're going to layer all of the skin using a mixture of 1 part Rhinox Hide and 1 part Mournfang Brown. And when you do this, you're just focusing on the raised surfaces and the curves of the muscles on the model. Once that first layer of highlighting is dried, we're going to take Mournfang Brown by itself, and we're going to do an additional layer of highlighting, this time focusing on the center of each of the raised surfaces, not going all the way up to the edge of what we did before. Moving back to the tail, we're going to shade it using Nuln Oil. Make sure you don't forget to also shade the leg wraps on the horse with this same color. Now we're going to paint the hooves of the horse using Abaddon Black. We're also going to grab any leather straps that are on the model at this point and do those in the same color. Now that the shade on the tail is dried, we're going to take Dawnstone and we're going to go back through and we're going to highlight all the raised parts of the tail. We're also going to take this color and use it to edge highlight the edges of all the leg wraps on the legs. Once that's all done, we're going to take Administratum Grey and we're going to do an additional layer of highlighting with this color. Now since this is meant to look like hair, we're going to do lines that follow the flow of the hair, but they're not necessarily going to be on raised ridges or surfaces. We just want to give different lines to make it appear like there are different strands of hair. With that out of the way, we're going to go back to the hooves and we're going to highlight the hooves using Dark Reaper. You'll also do this on any leather straps that you've done with this black earlier on. Now that the horse itself is done, we're going to take Khorne Red and we're going to paint this on half of the mantle that rests over the top of the horse. We're also going to paint half of the cape that's coming off of the knight. We're going to do the other half of the mantle and cape using Averland Sunset. When you get to the borderline where the two colors intersect, make sure you take your time and do a very straight, crisp line, so there's a clear division between the two colors. Now we're going to take Carroburg Crimson, and we're going to use this to shade the red half of the mantle and cape. Now for the yellow half of the mantle, we're going to use Casandora Yellow as our shade color. Once our shade is dried, we're going to take Mephiston Red and we're going to use this to layer over all of the mantle and cape, focusing on all the raised ridges and leaving the indented parts darker. Our second layer of highlighting with the red will be done using Evil Sunz Scarlet, and with this highlight we are focusing just on the absolutely most raised ridges of the fabric. Now for the yellow half of the mantle, we're going to go back through with Averland Sunset, and we're going to use this to clean up the color on all the raised ridges, but again we're leaving the darker parts in the recesses. Our next step is to take Yriel Yellow and use this to edge highlight all of the most raised edges on the yellow part of the mantle and cape. Now it's time to move on to the armor of the model, and we're going to take Leadbelcher and use this as the base color for all of the armor on both the horse and the knight. We're going to do something a little bit different with the shading on the armor. We're going to take Contrast Talassar Blue and dilute it down in a 1-to-1 ratio, and then use this to wash all of the armor, but you don't want to go so heavy with this that it turns the armor blue. You just want it to pool in the recesses. Once our contrast is completely dried, we're going to take Stormhost Silver and we're going to layer this over the center of each of the armor panels. Our goal here is to give a very pearly look to the center of the armor panels while leaving the recesses and edges with that blue tint. With that all done, we're going to take Balthasar Gold and we're going to use this to paint all of the trim and details on the armor. We're also going to take Reikland Fleshshade and we're going to use this as the wash on all of those Balthasar Gold panels that we did in the previous step. Now we're going to very quickly go through and take Dryad Bark and we're going to paint this on the lance that the knight is carrying. We will also take Karak Stone. We're going to paint this on the saddle and any of the other fabric parts of the model that we don't want to be in the red or yellow colors that we did before. Once that's all done, we're going to take Agrax Earthshade and we're going to use this to shade both the tan parts and the lance that we painted with brown earlier. While that shade is drying, we're going to take Abaddon Black and we're going to paint this on the fur mantle that the knight is wearing, as well as the feathers that are on the knight's helmet. Going back to the saddle, we're now going to take Rakarth Flesh and we're going to edge highlight the saddle and just give it a little bit of a weathered look using this color. To give the fur a little bit more depth to it, we're going to take Dark Reaper, we're going to dry brush this on all the raised edges of the fur. You can also do this on the feathers, just be careful not to get this color on the helmet. Now we're going to take Elysian Green and we're going to pick out the wreath that wraps around the top of the helmet on the knight. And finally, we're going to take Biel-Tan Green, and we're going to just do a very quick wash on the wreath. And with that, we finished this model. Thank you so much for watching today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and tell me about it in the comments. If you want to get involved with Conquest, check out the description where I've left a link to the Parabellum Games website. As always, have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next one.